Please welcome to the stage Vice President, Exec Engagement at AVEVA, Norton Green.
All right, so a little confession here. Every time I watch this video, I'm reminded just how proud I am to have this opportunity to be a part of this community. 26 years ago, well, 24, aging myself, 24 years ago, right, I joined this software company having no idea that we would evolve to what we are today and making the impact shown in that video, right? Changing the world we live in for our future generations. That's impressive. And that's really all as a result of the hard work of your organizations and the peers in your industry. So on behalf of AVEVA and Schneider Electric, I'd first just like to say thank you for all the work that you are doing to drive and make the impact that was shown in that video. So thank you, and give yourselves a round of applause, please. So at AVEVA, it's our mission to spark the industrial ingenuity that's in this room, really in an effort to empower you all to deliver the critical services that the world depends on, right? And we all know it, that your challenge is ahead, right? But at AVEVA, we believe that these challenges will require this community to collaborate across your traditional boundaries much more than ever before. And later on today, in this session, you're going to hear about how AVEVA will be there to support you along that journey. But as Peter mentioned yesterday, software is a key component to Schneider Electric's digitalization strategy, right? AVEVA, alongside ETAP and RIB, really come together to form agnostic software layer that helps to come together to create an intelligent digital twin for you. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, and I realize we have a lineup of fantastic speakers here today that are going to go in depth in this. So I'm going to go ahead and get things started. Are you all ready for the next presenter? Thank you down here in front, really appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and say this one more time, right? Because I've been told that the coffee in Paris is wonderful, right? I don't drink it myself, but I've been told so. So I'm expecting, and I want a little bit of more energy. Are you ready for your first presenter? Yes, all right, exactly what I want to hear. All right, so to kick things off, please welcome to the stage CEO of AVEVA and Executive Vice President of Schneider Electric, Caspar Herzberg.
Thank you, Norton. It's fantastic to be here in Paris with you all. You know, Paris, even when it rains, you know, elsewhere it rains, Here it rains, it's beautiful. Yeah? Even when you're stuck in traffic, it's beautiful. It's just one of the great, fantastic places in this world. And a real honor for us, for me, for my team, to be part of this community and to be allowed to present to you here what it is we have and what contribution we can make to solving your problems, your company's problems, your industrial and building problems in this world. So yesterday, you heard from Peter how digitization is one of the mega trends that transforms our world. And it's true. Digitization is truly transformational. And it's now going to a completely different level of transformational with the emergence, the general emergence of AI in the industrial space. And what I want to talk about now, and what we will show you, is how we can put that into real outcomes real business outcomes for you, for your customers, and for the world. So we recognize the transformational power of AI. And unlocking that power, finding a way of unlocking the power of AI and data is critical for the future of industry. You heard yesterday from Peter how the world is heating up at unbelievable speeds. This is not a good thing, let's be clear, right? And in the end, how can we keep growing as industry, growing as societies, while becoming significantly more efficient? This is the challenge. And we believe, we are certain, that we have the tools, the power, the know-how on how to embrace digitization, to fundamentally rethink the way we design, we build, we operate, and especially optimize assets. This is what we can do today, because it gives you the opportunity to reduce energy consumption, reduce carbon emissions, and drive responsible use of the world's resources. And let's be clear, the last 100 years, that was not responsible use of the world's resources. It was great, but it's over. Yeah? Now it's time for a new way. And we can do this together, because we can share data, we can derive actionable insights that are in context, in the context that you need, that you can actually make a decision, by using large language models, by using generative AI, and by using our own patent-pending AI. And you will see it later. And we must blend these insights, we must blend this AI with human intellect and human instinct, because that is also a truth. Without the human, AI ultimately is meaningless. Don't listen to anyone else who tells you different. Without human intellect, without human instinct, AI is useless. And it's about bringing those two together in order to shape the world that we live in. Now, today, you heard it many times, but I think it is quite important to put that into data context. We all talk about data, you know? The truth is, there are now 147 zettabytes of data, of industrial data out there. Now, I had to look up what is a zettabyte. I didn't understand it. It was too big. My brain could not understand. It's basically a significant amount of data. Yeah, this is what you have to know. And it's not all cat videos and TikTok videos and so on. No, there is a significant amount of very useful industrial data out there. However, 68% of this data is not used. It just hangs out in a data lake. You know? Doesn't do anything. 68% is unused. That is a vast amount of untapped insights, missed opportunities, unrealized cost savings, right? And the simple truth is that connecting people with this data is key to seizing the opportunity to do better. And everyone who has seen the supply chain challenges of the last years knows that there is a lot that we can do to simply make the supply, the manufacturing of goods easier, instead of like sending it back and forth the globe 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, and so on. So how do we go after this opportunity, and what does it mean for those that can? Because those that can, those that have already formed digital ecosystems today, those that are not just pioneering, but excelling at using this data, they do better than the others. But that's less than half of the companies out there. They, however, those that do well, they grow 7 to 10 to more % faster. So they grow better, they make more money, they are more profitable, they take market share than those that don't. And they do this really in three ways. There's three ways that the power of AI, the power of using data correctly gives them. One, it simply enhances the foundation. You become more efficient, more agile. You do, what you know how to do, better, faster, more efficient. Call it the foundational layer. Secondly, it improves agility and reach. You transition into innovation through analytics, through IoT, automation. You heard that yesterday from Barbara. And you are able to add scale. Scale by geography, scale by market. But then the most important, the third part, it's always the third. You always have to wait for the third. That's the crucial one, is that you are able to make breakthroughs, that you can become a pioneer in new frontiers through virtual modeling and testing that basically allow you to reduce risk, cut cost by putting new things out there. It used to be said that a pioneer is the one with arrows in his back, you know? That's how you used to be able to identify a pioneer. The trick here is that with AI, with the use of data, you can avoid these arrows, and you can make it to shore faster, you can make it to success faster. This is what it gives you. And there are examples out there, and I will show you an example later. Now, we also have to recognize that this is not easy, otherwise everyone would do it. Clearly, you probably heard this before, data is generally held in silos, where local teams own the data. Now, there's a reason for silos. Silos are there because people believe that they protect them, right? And very often it's true, right? So people jealously guard their data, and they only report the minimum up, usually on Excel, that they can, right? So how to make them feel more trusting to the corporation, to the supply chain. Secondly, data is often inconsistent. It can be time-consuming, it can be costly to refine the data, and this is why data scientists are one of the top new jobs in the last couple of years, right? And then, of course, very often with data, people just wait until the problem hits them, and then they use the data to react to the problem instead of planning long-term. Data comes in disparate sources, in different formats, sits in different places, data is manifold. So how to bring it all together into one place and into one space that is trusted, that is private, that is flexible to bring teams together. There is also a virtual way of creating comfort, of creating privacy, of creating the trust between teams. And we can do this. But it's only by overcoming these challenges that you will be able to unlock the growth. Otherwise, you slowly drown in the data lake of the 147 zettabytes that I just mentioned. Now, at AVEVA, we have, I can proudly say that, and Norton was there from the beginning, 18 years of AI experience, 18 years of working with time series data, working on predictive analytics, working on ways how to predict failures, save significant amounts of effort, of energy, of money, tailored to industrial applications. And what we do with that, what we have formed, are a couple of core tenets of our strategy. One is to provide trusted intelligence, to connecting people with trusted information that are in context through, in our case, 109 software packages to the most complex industries that are out there in our world. Secondly, we derive those actionable insights from those softwares, from this data that is in context, and give them to decision makers, whether that is an engineer, whether that is a CEO. We also today provide one unified experience, making it easy to access existing solutions, as well as third-party applications. Not everything has to be ours. We have to make it easy, and we are making it easy to get other softwares the same way. And we build empowered ecosystems that way by creating an open, agnostic virtual environment, an ecosystem where people can work together no matter where they are based, cloud-based, hybrid, the ability to come together in the virtual space, saves time, saves effort again and again. Unified engineering is such an example. And this is how we have transformed industries. And what, you already heard it, so it's not a great revelation, but now what we are doing is bringing this capability to everyone, by building the world's biggest industrial ecosystem. Because we believe this is the future for innovation and growth, and we believe that there is tremendous value for everyone, for you, for your customers, for your supply chain, where it is easy to share information, easy to work with each other. And this is Connect. Connect, the world's biggest industrial ecosystem, an open, agnostic platform where the entire industrial world of software can come together and can collaborate and can derive value. Everyone, even our competitors, everyone. So, if I describe to you the vision for Connect, it's a very simple one, to provide one data, one set of trusted data, no matter who looks at it. Not that the data for the CEO is a different data for the engineer, which is, by the way, as we all know, very often the reality. It's usually not good for the CEO. One intelligent twin for the entire value chain that then derives into an electrical twin, an industrial twin, a carbon twin, a process twin, and so on. One experience, one unified experience for everyone in the value chain accessing this world of innovation the same way. And one empowered ecosystem. This is what we are bringing. And this includes not just the 109 solutions of ETAP, not just the third-party applications that I mentioned, like TwinThread and others, that sit on the Connect data services, but also the electrical design and electrification software of ETAP, the RIB software that gives you building and construction software, trusted, especially in Europe, all over the world, by many of the leading developers, and in the future, everyone who plays in the design, build, operate, and optimize cycle of industry and building. This is our vision. Now, how should you imagine this vision? Like, how does it come across? It's coming across in one intelligent digital twin. So what you see behind me is a depiction of a user looking at real asset information, a set of assets in a virtual environment, asset by asset by asset. You can have one, you can go into the detail, you can go look at multiple assets, and then you can go all the way until you reach the pump, until you reach the valve, and you can look at the operational information that comes from the exact asset depiction of the asset for you to see, for you to make decisions on, to have your, I learned that yesterday, your Monday meeting or your money meeting where you make decisions, right? It is extremely flexible of how it can be used, but the fundamental of it is, it gives you one set of data, always the same data, always the same asset depiction, no matter who looks at it. Some customers have used this to transform their own company, of bringing different opcos, operating companies, onto a common vision. Some customers use it to do strategic planning many years out, where to plan for assets. Some use it for supply chain planning. Some use it for training, to go into the reality of the digital twin, to put VR glasses on, to change things. Many use it to depict artificial intelligence, the input from artificial intelligence. And this is what you will see later. Visualizing this way, the entire world of industry, it basically allows you to experiment more, it drives innovation, and it drives growth. So let me give you an example of a company, Biosana, that used Connect, used the data services in Connect when wanting to put out a new medicine. It wasn't COVID, it was something else. A new medicine, and by sharing the information via the cloud with their partner Sartorius, they were able to put out a new medicine 70% faster than it was done before. That's 1/3 of the time by collaborating, by using data collaboratively with their supply chain. And this is just one such example of many of our customer stories that power the vision that is Connect, and that we now make available to everyone as the one space in the industrial world to collaborate in. Now, I think you should meet the godfather of Connect. The godfather of Connect is Rob McGreevy. He is the one that has, with his team, a big team, has put this together over the years, with 17,000 active users monthly today, growing super fast, the industrial ecosystem. I introduce to you Rob McGreevy, Chief Product Officer of AVEVA, who is going to take you home with an amazing demo. Thank you.
Very good. Well, with such an intro, I don't quite know where to go with that, but thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'm delighted to be here in Paris. I can't tell you how fantastic it is to connect, pun intended, I guess, with so many people in the real world. While I love the digital world, and that's where I live a lot of my life, it's great to go to an event like this to actually collaborate, meet people, connect, learn more and interesting things. And so today I'm delighted to add some more color and more detail to Connect, kind of picking up where Caspar left off. And if I just sort of jump right in with the session, what I want to say is, let me start with our thesis, a little bit of the summary behind how we see the world today, which sort of leads to why do we believe we need this thing called Connect? What's the rationale behind it and why now? And then the good news here is you've been hearing a lot of this already throughout the course of the week. From Peter yesterday, from the panels that he presented on stage, from Caspar. But our basic thesis is that the world that we live in today, especially industrial manufacturing, critical infrastructure, the world of buildings and data centers, is under a dramatic amount of changes. These market dynamics that are affecting our world, our industry, are coming at us at lots of different angles. Whether it's the energy transition, the movement towards renewables, the need to meet the increased energy capacity and demands, or the transitioning of the workforce, where we have an aging workforce, we have a transitioning workforce, we have people that don't stay in jobs as long, or you look at geopolitical issues around the globe, you look at the knock-on effect of the shrinking or collapsing supply chains and value chains, as Peter alluded to yesterday. This sort of confluence of market dynamics necessitates a material change in the way in which we operate our businesses. As Caspar said, the way in which we design, build, operate, and optimize critical assets in critical manufacturing, critical infrastructure. And the thesis that we're sort of advancing here is that that itself necessitates something of a different operating model, a different commercial business model for how we sort of manage this whole entire value chain, and one that necessitates and demands a highly interoperable, highly digital manifestation, if you will, of this value chain. All elements of the design, build, operate, optimize life cycle is required to meet these market dynamics, right? To meet these changes and lay the foundation, for the industries of the future, for the way in which we design and build the future data centers, future buildings, future power plants, water plants, and facilities. And that should set us up for the realization of this ever-connected industrial economy. And hopefully, we as a community, as an ecosystem here, can leave our industry in a better place than we found it, and hopefully leave the planet in a better place than we found it, as a nod to my friend Norton earlier. So that's really the thesis behind all this. And if you imagine for us, if you will, how does this sort of unfold over the next 5, 10, 15 years? Because that's how we're looking at this build-out of software. Again, it's realized and available today, but in the fullness of time, this will continue to expand and develop. And so let me just start right in with the first sort of step in this process and how we see this. And it's really the birthplace of the digital twin is in this area of design, right? It's literally the first place we go to say, I'm going to design a critical asset, a piece of equipment, a piece of machinery, a building, a data center, a power plant, a wind farm, a pharmaceutical facility. And the birthplace of this becomes the design side, where we do the 1D, 2D, 3D information, right? That is, we design and simulate the scaffold, if you will, for this particular asset, be that a piece of equipment, a machine, a facility. And as we do that, we're defining the CAD elements of it, we're defining equipment lists, we're defining these P&IDs, all these other elements that make up that design for that particular asset or that sort of digital twin. And as we progress through the life cycle, we start to construct these things, right? We move them from the design phase into a construction phase. We start to flesh out or embellish or build upon that digital twin with more and more information, going from 1D, 2D, 3D into 4D, 5D, right? Cost estimation, materials, schedules. What are the things that went into that building or into that data center or into that power plant or that FPSO? And that becomes, again, this richer, more full-featured digital twin. And then ultimately, that transitions into the world of operations, right? We turn these things over, we do a handover, we turn them on, we commission them, we operate them, we produce finished goods, we produce power, we produce fresh water, we create pharmaceutical, we make coffee, the sort of the main operational side of this, or we occupy and run buildings, right? Or we occupy and sort of light up and enable data centers. And that's the sort of operational element. And so by this point, the digital twin now becomes populated with even more high-fidelity process production information, right, about the consumption of what's going on in the plant, what's going on in the supply chain and value chain. And ultimately, what you end up with is a full digital representation of this that you can now take into this operational phase, where I can say, hey, now I can optimize all elements of this value chain. I have this full digital representation from the design to the operations to the maintenance and reliability, and I can slice that up and optimize different elements of that value chain based on the use cases or the personas through which I experience it. So if I'm trying to work on sustainability, I might like through this digital twin through the lens of environmental sustainability and look at water, air, gas, steam, electricity consumption. If I look at this digital twin through the lens of production optimization or planning, right, or capital projects, then I can again begin to experience this digital twin and run through scenarios to drive optimizations, ultimately leading to a better production process, a more affordable operating environment, and of course, a more safe and sustainable way in which we operate. And so when you lay this out on this great sort of wide screen that we've got, we're really saying, well, you can transcend all areas of this value chain, from the design phase, the birthplace of the digital twin, all the way through the construction and build phase, through operations, through maintenance. And then as this sort of digital twin gets built up, either based on a born native digital asset or brownfield equipment that gets scanned in, you start to build up this entire digital twin all inside one integrated environment. And we think once you've sort of assembled that and built that out, that gives you the entire latitude that's needed. It gives you the tools and technologies needed to run in this environment, right? To meet those challenges of those market headwinds that I talked about earlier, those market dynamics. And so for us, that is Connect, right? The answer to that, how do we solve these problems? How do we bring this sort of digital twin together is, as Caspar alluded to, that is what we believe is Connect, right? It's that unified single experience. It is that intelligence platform through which we experience this value chain today and into the future. And again, it's predicated on us having a large, vibrant ecosystem of partners that can help us extend the value of this thing as we move forward as a collective group. Again, ultimately what this means, it will deliver a seamless experience, which I'm going to show you in a second, from digital for the digital twin up through the digital enterprise. And again, I can't emphasize enough, like this sort of subtlety here is that you're going to have one window into your value chain from the design, build, operate, and optimize. And you can experience that in any way you need to based on who you are, what you're trying to achieve enterprise-wide. And that common digital thread becomes the backbone of all of your operations. And again, the backbone of this is largely on the process, production, design, data that makes up these assets and the context through which we experience and use those. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that if you've been around manufacturing or buildings or any other segment we play in, you'll know that there's a lot of brownfield or existing stuff out there, existing systems and sources, high-value systems and sources. And so the thing I want to point out here is that the Connect environment accommodates both greenfield, net new, things that are born digital, born native, born today, if you like, as well as the vast majority of brownfield or existing systems and sources, PLCs, RTUs, DCS systems, if you come from the automation and design space, hooking up to existing buildings and critical infrastructure that we've got. So this brownfield, greenfield sort of all can be accommodated inside Connect, and so hence the brands and the technologies that many of you in this audience may be using, whether you're leveraging one or more of the component stack from Schneider's EcoStructure, whether you're using AVEVA technology or whether you're using RIB, maybe you're using some SCADA HMI stuff from the Wonderware side of the world, or a PI system. Again, all this sort of becomes federated and integrated into this integrated environment that we call Connect. Okay, so enough of that. So let me transition a little bit to show you a bit of Connect. And since time is short here, I'm going to go through this pretty quick. This is sort of a classic thing for me. But I will remind you that if you want to see more of this, you want to learn more and do it in a more thoughtful, slower pace, definitely head out to the expo here because the team is showing this stuff off and they're happy to take you through this if you have questions. So the Connect experience I'm going to show you essentially has us logging into Connect, where we brought together lots of systems and sources. I'm going to access the visualization component of Connect because it's the easiest thing to kind of experience because you can see it. It's highly visual. In this case, we're going to be looking at a wind farm, which has a number of different wind assets as you'd expect, and I'm going to traverse through that whole value chain I described earlier to show you how we can sort of access information from different systems and sources and begin to use that to troubleshoot and actually optimize parts of my sort of value chain. So with that, we'll go ahead and start the demonstration. So at first, of course, you'd click into a secure environment. Again, it's hybrid cloud enabled, as Caspar alluded to. You'll sort of manage your way through the content page. I'm going to click on the visualization space. And here I'm accessing, in this case, my wind farm. And I'm going to drill down into that specific wind farm to get a view of all the different wind turbines in there, looking at things like my revenue projections, transmission rates, plant load factor, weather data, and I can drill down into any one of these assets to access more high-fidelity process production and design data. In this case, I'm looking at actual versus forecast or expected power production from this wind asset, the weather forecast associated with that, the utilization of this asset, is it producing, not producing, and of course, if it's not, what are the reasons why it's not producing? So I can begin to actually take some troubleshooting steps to explore further. Clicking on the asset definition itself, I can pull up the full 3D model for this particular wind turbine, this specific wind asset in the context of its operations. And this isn't just a graphical representation. This is an actual accurate 3D representation of a wind turbine. From there, I can also access things like material safety data sheets, standard operating procedures, or manuals to show me how to actually work through corrective maintenance, activities, or other things, all inside of this one canvas or one environment. And again, it's a lot to take in here, but what I've essentially shown you is how you can traverse through literally dozens of different systems and sources that are necessary to make up that value chain for wind operations of this wind farm. And I just went through design engineering information, 1D, 2D equipment lists. I went through manuals and documents, went through engineering artifacts, went through 3D models of the asset. I looked at real-time process production information in context. And of course, that's just the beginning. Lots of different environments and ways through which I can navigate this throughout this entire demonstration. So again, if you want to see more of these scenarios, definitely check out the expo out in the booth area under Connect. But one other example I wanted to show that I'll come to in a second is around, it's the whole emphasis around artificial intelligence. And the idea that we have predictive and prescriptive. Actually, if you could just, pause on that. this demonstration before you jump in. If you guys could go back, restart this demonstration. Peter actually mentioned earlier about sort of the analytics and AI, and I just wanted to just sort of tee this up a little bit before we jump into it. But I think the stats that Peter had shown was, I think he said that the internet, when it first came out, took 7 years to reach 100 million users, and that generative AI and ChatGPT in particular took like 2 months to hit 100 million users. And so I'd been remiss if I didn't talk about Connect in our environment and how we're actually using artificial intelligence, AI, sort of embedded in this to sort of change the way in which people experience Connect and that whole value chain of design, operate, optimize. And so with that, I wanted to show you this example of our industrial AI and how that sort of works inside of this environment. So if you go ahead and sort of start that, sorry for the AV folks back in the room, appreciate your patience. We're going to essentially launch this thing called Industrial AI Assistant. And from here, what that's going to allow me to do is sort of interrogate and access the system. So in this case, I came in, I noticed that the Hornsea Wind Farm output of power was not producing as it should. It was producing less power. Is there anything that I should be aware of? And the generative engine comes back and says, yeah, in fact, we found that this particular asset, this turbine, GE07, the same turbine we looked at earlier, in fact had a stoppage event, right, because of a thermal or a temperature-specific problem. And so right here I can say, right, I know I had a problem with this fleet, and I can actually ask the system, hey, can you pull up a utilization graph of this? Because I'd like to see what was actually going on for this asset. So again, the tool comes back, shows me my digital twin, and I can see the utilization line for this GE07 asset where it was producing or not producing. And then the utilization summary itself shows that there were thermal problems with temperatures. So it looks like we had some high temperature problems for GE07. Can you please find me all the bearing temperatures and nacelle values for the last 12 hours? The system goes in, interrogates the digital twin, pulls back the real-time process and production variables, min, max, average temperatures, lays them out in a nice textual description. And shows that to me as sort of an indication. And of course, I can click on the citation, which is the facts behind the analysis, and that's going to pull up data, in this case from the PI system, showing me a process trend that in fact shows where we had some problems with the temperature profile of these variables from this GE07 digital asset in the environment. Now from here, I might need to get some help, right? You know, something caused all these specific varying high temperatures to go at the same time. Can you find the manual associated with this GE07 asset? And the system comes back, gives me a link directly to that particular manual, pulls up that specific maintenance manual for this particular asset, and allows me to scroll through all 280 pages or 146 pages of glory. Now, one of the other interesting things that these GPT-type engines allow you to do is summarize things. So I can ask this, does the maintenance manual itself have any specific information for me about the problems that I'm encountering and witnessing? And it comes back and says, yes, the cause of these things could be insufficient lubrication, vibration analysis, temperature control valve issues, and here are some steps you ought to take, again, culled from the maintenance manuals, right? Culled from the logs that we've got in the system. These are some of the things that you should go and investigate. So if I want to go further to this, I can say, hey, do you have a 3D model of this GE07 asset that I can actually access to see where this oil or lubrication or vibration system is? And from here, it'll actually launch into the exact digital twin representation of the 07 asset, and it's going to bring me directly to the highlighted purple area inside this nacelle or head unit, where I can actually see where the problem lies. And from here, I could set up a maintenance activity, right? Or I could plan some work to go visit this. Since this is a pretty high environment, you wouldn't catch me up in one of these things. And the last thing here is I can say, hey, just summarize this conversation, this interaction that we had, and that can be used to create a work order request, right? Or a work item. And so what you can see here is that the way in which we interact with this digital twin, with this value chain, by the use of language models, natural language processing, and all of the high-fidelity process production, design engineering that we have in Connect, in the context of industrial operations, can be leveraged to do some very, very amazing things. This helps address those market dynamics. It becomes a great tool for the workforce of the future to sharpen their toolbox, so to speak, to make them more efficient along the way. And again, this is just one sort of thin slice of how things like generative AI can actually be used and are being infused into Connect to make access to this information, to make results way, way, way more achievable. So again, pretty exciting stuff, all based on real information, real systems that exist today, and it'll continue to evolve and get much, much better. So with that, let me just do a quick recap. Again, our thesis around this is that the world's changed dramatically. And in order to meet the needs of the new markets, industrial manufacturing, buildings, critical infrastructure, to meet those needs, you have to change the way in which we operate. That ushers in a need for a new type of software, a new type of software that we believe is Connect. Connect amalgamates and brings together the communities across our industrial ecosystem, everyone in this room, to one experience, one unified environment, backed on an information model that supports the context for the operations that we live and breathe in. It transcends all areas of the life cycle, from design to build to operate to optimize, and gives you that environment through which to explore it graphically, visually, through AI and other tools. And again, addresses all sorts of different optimization capabilities, whether it's addressing sustainability, production performance, quality, to essentially leave us in a place where we can leave the industry and hopefully the planet in a better place than we found it. So with that, I will thank you for your time and indulgence on a high-speed demo. It's been very, very nice to be up here, and again, great for that. And I will turn things over at this point to my esteemed colleague and partner in crime, Kim Custeau, who is the Executive Vice President in charge of product and portfolio, helping make a lot of these things become a reality. And Kim's going to punctuate the session here with a few more examples to close out. So again, thank you for your time and energy, and I'll turn things over to Kim.
Thanks, Kim. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Just a few more moments for me to give you some illustrations of how some of our partners and Schneider Electric have built on what you've heard this morning. I can't help, honestly, first just saying how inspired I am each and every time I see these offers being presented. The opportunity that it creates for our customers and an ecosystem of partners is incredible. So as I go through some of these examples, please think about that in terms of your business and in your customers and where Connect can be leveraged. It also highlights one important thing. I know we've been speaking a lot about the word data because it is so very important. A strong, trusted foundation of data is critical for the success of what you just saw. You can't have visualization like that. You can't build applications like we want to, like we want our partners to, and you can't have high-fidelity AI without a strong foundation of trusted data. And this is where we have spent an enormous amount of time and consideration to get this right. Okay? Let me walk through one more level of detail, okay, that I think will be important below what you saw from Rob's presentation and what you heard from Caspar. The breaking down of silos is where the Connect effect starts. This is where we bring that contextual content together in the cloud, leveraging the power of the cloud, using our domain collective experience to be able to put that into the context that will drive the applications I'm speaking about, the visualization, the AI. Bringing all of this content together for what purpose, right? For the purpose of changing the world, making it a better place, for helping customers achieve greatness, and looking at challenges that we have today, and also anticipating things that we can do to support the challenges of tomorrow. Okay? So I'm going to walk through 4 examples. Okay? The first example is one where we've been working with Schneider Electric. Yesterday, you heard Peter speak about the 15 innovations of Schneider, one of which was EcoCare. The Connect Data Services supplies the industrial data to EcoCare and the ETPX platform in order for Schneider Electric to create a remote monitoring service that supports customers around the world, pulling data and critical information about assets together, running very high-fidelity analytics, domain-specific analytics on electrical equipment to support field service technicians around the world supporting customers, right? Ensuring reliability and efficiency of those assets. Okay. This is just an example of the visualization that was created by bringing that data together. You can see all of the tag series. It's a different iteration of what Rob showed. Okay. It's an example of what makes sense for the Schneider Electric field service technicians and Schneider Electric customers. And it helps ensure that everyone is looking at the same data and those field techs are on site when they need to be. Again, improving reliability, efficiency, and reducing cost. The second example is our team's been working together with the EcoStruxure team and plant lean management application. So this is an example where Schneider Electric has built an application leveraging those data services. Right? It's an IoT application. It brings data together, right? And it ensures that there's efficiency from a lean best practice perspective within organizations. So customers like Roche, Chivas, they're yet leveraging this tool and the data together in combination to ensure an effective and streamlined plant performance. Okay. The third example, again, working with the EcoStruxure plant team, creating an offer for predicting energy. Okay. In this particular case, it's more than an application, and it's more than visualization. It's actually bringing the analytics to play. So this is our opportunity now to look at that information, tune it with algorithms, make sure we're looking at the data in the lens that we want. In this particular case, what they're doing is they're bringing machine learning, and they're bringing the analytics to predict the energy efficiency for organizations today. All three of these applications that have been developed, these visualizations, these services, are available on the Connect place today. So if you go to the Connect page, you'll be able to find these offers. So it's been a great opportunity to validate the use cases around the data, the visualization, and the analytics. Okay. The last use case that I want to share with you today is one with a different spin on it. It's around that network effect. Okay? The words enterprise visualization, yes, because it's bringing data together in this scenario from 1,200 buildings. I think 80 million square feet of content, okay, bringing all of that data together. But it's actually two companies, so there's a network effect of this data. We're bringing the data forward, we're providing it to a customer. That customer, who is in the pharmaceutical industry, is sharing that data. They're deciding what data to share. They're sharing that data with a third party. That third party is DernetSoft. What DernetSoft is doing with that is analyzing that content, understanding it, and providing guidance and remote monitoring back to the pharmaceutical company. The beauty of this is that the data that the customers shared with DernetSoft is now being enriched and given back to the customer. So when Rob talked about the whole value chain and in creating opportunity for the value chain, it is about that data sharing, but it's also about the enrichment of that content that makes that data ever so more valuable every time it's used. Okay? All of these examples, if you can imagine, and hopefully there's some curiosity being sparked here, that you can think about ways that you can leverage that industrial data, that building data, that content from infrastructure, to pull all of that together and use the power of the cloud and the power of Connect to put applications and put visualization alongside that data so that we're solving new problems for customers every day. Okay? Just 4 examples. Again, as Rob said, if you come out to the Innovation Hub, we'll be able to show some of these to you. I think there's a couple of booths actually with the lean management and also with the predictive energy application on Connect. That'll be a great chance for you to see it live. Really appreciate your time. I'll pause here and I'll hand it back over to Norton, who'll close the session. There you go.
Thank you. All right. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out for this long. Really appreciate it. First thing I'd love to do is really just give a round of applause to Kim, Caspar, and Rob for a fantastic presentation. Can you give them a round? I don't know if you can sense it from the tone of the presentations. There's been a lot of work into what you've seen in terms of Connect. And at AVEVA, it's exciting times for us right now. So very much appreciate the opportunity to share with you today. So you've now heard it from several of the speakers, right? But if you would like to connect, pun intended, with us further in this event, we'll be right outside in the Innovation Hub, so please do. And in addition to that, it's my honor, right, if you would like to even learn further about AVEVA and the suite of portfolio of applications and products that we offer, I would love to invite you about 20, 30 minutes down the road in October to Palais des Congrès de Paris. It is our, it's to AVEVA World, which will be held at the Palais des Congrès de Paris. It will be our flagship conference. It's our global conference. It's going to be in October. I would love to have you all there. And with that, I will close out for the day and say thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Innovation Summit and have a wonderful day.
Into a sea of information to plot a course toward your highest potential. Imagine the merging of mountains of trusted intelligence from every source into a single intuitive interface where everything seamlessly combines. The heart of your operations revealed in real time. Imagine collaboration amongst teams, throughout organizations, and across continents. An empowered ecosystem energized by an interactive community of experts, collectively inspiring actionable insights. Innovation, growth, and sustainability all assured and synchronized with the accelerating pace of transformation. Imagine if all that was all connected, so you could see further, innovate faster, accomplish more. That's the power of the Connect Industrial Intelligence Platform in action. That's the Connect Effect.